Seasons come and seasons go, yet you're always deep. No matter what gets in our way, you and me remain. What I've come to understand is nothing stays the same, no. But you are ever present, dear. I love you just the same. See?
Hello everybody. Today's stream will be a little different because first I want to actually go over this video that I've been watching about how 2020 is the best year of my life, and I want to explain to you why I can say that and how you can say the same thing. It's just a matter of perspective, as always, and of seeing what we can't see, basically living by faith, not by sight. So I want to play this video. Let me first set it up. So this is a show that I watch often on YouTube. It's about music and producing. So you would think it has nothing to do with faith or with trusting God or anything like that. But this young man on the right that you see there with a bandana, his name is Charlie Rocket. That's how he goes. And he's not exactly like some sort of church leader or anything like that, but he definitely says some things on here that are very, encouraging. By the way, my video there on the right, the video of me, it's delayed, so just ignore that. The audio, I think, is fairly good. I'm not usually in my professional gear, but I wanted to get this out no matter what. So Charlie Rocket here is holding that cup, and then the young man next to him, they're both producers, musicians from Atlanta. And this actually was just, I think, happened this morning, this video. And I want to just play for you a couple of clips of what he says and then comment how powerful this is. Now, he'll use the language of God, universe, manifestation. So just translate that for us that know Jesus to trusting God, to hearing the voice of God. But don't miss what he's going to say here about having the best year of his life. And it got me thinking about how it's true of me and of you as well. So let's see if this works out. So listen to this here for a second.
You dig. So yeah, man, so life was good, and in 2019 going into 2020 we all had our hopes and aspirations up, and then life changed and we hit
So before Charlie talks, the young man on the left, I forget his name, Dylan, I think, he's just speaking the truth, right? How we all had all these hopes and dreams before going into this year. And isn't that the case, right? Isn't that the truth? We all had these hopes and dreams of what this year would look like. And yet everything got turned upside down. Like, for example, for them, the guy on the right, Charlie, and he'll talk about this, he's a music producer, and he's a music promoter, actually. And so what he does, how he makes his living, is going on tour with bands. Well, guess what? There are no bands. There are no venues. There are no shows. And so he's losing, who knows, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars every month promoting bands. He's pretty famous in his world. And yet, listen to what he's about to say here.
Best year of my life. Life was good, and in 2019 going into 2020 we all had our hopes and aspirations up, and then life changed and we hit
I'm having the best year of my life.
I feel it, bro. I feel you, man. In ways I could say the same, you know what I mean? Like, but I want to hear from you. I want to hear, what does that mean?
Like, okay, 2020, crazy. but crazy opportunity. Like, what a time to be alive. Like, times like this, we're never gonna forget. For example,
this ain't no man's land.
No, this ain't no man's land. This is literally, so like, memories are very special, right? Memories are so sacred. We'll never forget them. But very few things create memories in our lives. But there's a cheat code to creating a memory. Where were you on September 11th?
When it happened?
Yeah.
I was in 3rd grade. I remember they came on the announcements and let us know.
Where were you on September 10th? Might not remember.
Probably, yeah.
We're going to remember this forever. So what an opportunity to write the story we will remember forever.
So I'll stop it there. Did you catch that? He said, what an opportunity to write the story you will remember forever. Once again, what an opportunity to write the story you will remember forever. Wow, how powerful. How powerful. I mean, he's so right. I'll never forget 9/11. I'll never forget the day that Kobe died. I was in church, and I remember coming off the stage, and our daughter said to me, Kobe died. And I thought, what? I forget what day that was, April 4th, April 5th. And like he says, what was I doing April 3rd? Who knows? We'll never forget this year. And like he says, some things happen to you, meaning a tragedy. But some things, they happen, and you have the opportunity to write your own story of how you're going to respond to this year. And so it got me thinking, what kind of story am I writing so far? I mean, this is July, so we've been at this now for 6 months. And we have 6 months left. And like he'll say here in a second, has your story so far been you've been at home or at work, and you've been running, or you've been scared, or you've been mad? What story have you written so far? And it got me thinking about my story so far. And then I think the beautiful thing is, what story do you want to write for the next 6 months? We have July, August, September, October, November, December. There are 6 more months to 2020, and you and I have a choice to write either the same story that you've been writing so far, good or bad, or to write the story you want to tell, the story you want to remember, the story that you want everyone to remember. And so let's keep listening.
We are never going to forget this, but later on in life, or is your story going to be, oh, I sat in the house? Is your story going to be like, oh yeah, folks got sick? Like, that was the beginning and the end. Like, for me, when all this happened, I said, ooh, showtime. I'm going to remember this forever. I want to do something so amazing. So I moved out of my house. I moved into the Dream Machine tour bus. And I said,
what date was this? Early March? When was it? April?
So this was April. So I had to start putting it together.
Yeah.
So the idea happened in early April, April 6th, around my birthday. And then.
So did you catch that he said, I don't know if he said it in this clip or the next one, he said, sometimes you have to be a contrarian. He said that when everyone ran inside, he went outside. And that's really the mark of really special people, is they go against the tide. And so maybe you ran inward when this happened in March, April. I can say that there have been times that I have definitely ran inward. And like he said, do you want that to be the story you tell about 2020, that you ran? That you did the same thing over and over again? That you went to work and just kept at it? Or did you go against the time? Did you go against the normal? Did you run into the fire? Of course, with protection, and you have to, like he says, you have to be aware, but I think that it's very true that we all have a choice to make. And so let's keep listening.
and boom, like within 4 or 5 weeks, I'm on the road, and the whole world canceled its tours. Everybody went in the house.
Right.
I did the opposite. I said, this is an opportunity. People are hurting. They need help. I'm going to go help them. So it's okay to be contrarian. It's okay to do the opposite of what everybody else is doing. But for me, I was like, I want to write my story.
So again, we'll stop there. Isn't that amazing? He said, I want to write my story. He said he went outside, meaning he went outward instead of inward when this whole thing happened. He rented a bus, or maybe he owns a bus, I don't know exactly. And he went out to give people clothes and food and help them. I know many people that have done that. And I know many others that have gone inward. And here's the thing. No matter how and who and what you've done so far, if you're not happy with the story you've been writing so far, then write the story you want to write. Write the story you want to write. You still have 6 months left. I'm not happy with the story I've written so far. I'm not satisfied. There's some things I'm proud of. There's some things I'm not satisfied with. And I'm sure we all feel the same way. Like there's some things that you think, I think I need to write a different kind of story. I mean, I've been too emotionally, or empathetically is a better word, too in tune with the pain and concern around me. I've been too focused on all the things that we have to do to be safe. And I haven't yet heard from God, and yet it's changing the last few weeks. What I'm supposed to be doing. What I'm supposed to be doing with my next 6 months. What it is that I'm supposed to be doing with the rest of this year, because this year is not over yet. And here's the thing, we all have time to still hear different stories. Write your own story. And I really believe that God has a specific plan for each one of us. I can say that what God wanted and wants me to do this year, it just hasn't meant to be yet. It wasn't yet the time. But I can tell just in my spirit that God is preparing me for these next 6 months to go out and write the story that I want to write. To write the story of 2020 that I can be proud of, that is in tune with who I am, that is in tune with what God has put in my heart, the dreams and the passions and the love that He's put in my heart. If we can just open our hearts to God, then we have an amazing opportunity to write an even better second half of this year. So let's keep listening to what he's saying.
This is going down in the history books. I want to do something that would excite me when I'm 90 years old to talk about. So I've just been going around the country helping people. I'm having the time of my life. I'm chasing my dream. I'm living the dream, and I'm happy. I'm on a winning streak. So ever since the last podcast, man, it's just been a dream come true, because I wake up and I make a choice. See, we're creators.
So let me pause there again. Did you catch that? He said, we have a choice, and then he's going to talk about being creators in the next clip. But I want to just pause really quick there. He says, we have a choice. And I think that's the trap that it's easy to fall into, certainly this first half of the year, is I don't have a choice. I have to abide by these rules. Or maybe even what I really mean is I have to react to what's being told to me. And truth be told, we all have to react. I thought this would be done by June, and it's already July. And so, but it is a choice that you and I can still make. Of course, be safe. Nobody's saying to go out there and be reckless and die. Nobody wants to die. But what if the script of your life here for the second half of this year is not just about death and life and death, but it's about, like he's going to say here, creating. And for you and me to be creators, we have to make that choice, first of all, that you are going to create, that you will not just be silent, that you will not just do the same old thing over and over again. So let's keep listening.
We literally can wake up and say, I'm going to choose to be a different person. We can't let who we are be a cage for who we can be. Who we are doesn't even matter. Like, there was a point in my life where I was a chubby kid from Atlanta and I wanted to become a music mogul.
Uh-huh.
I made a choice. I am CEO Charlie. And I did that. Then I said, you know what? Okay, I'm a music mogul, but I want to be an athlete. So I made the choice, just a choice. I'm an athlete. I woke up one day. What I was did not matter anymore. I cleaned the slate and said, this is what I'm going to be. And
isn't that powerful? And he said he cleaned the slate and he chose, here's who I'm going to be. Now, you may not know the story of this young man. I think he's 27, drugs, alcohol, I think abandoned, failures in terms of his businesses. A ton of bad stuff has happened to him. And yet, and like he says, he was a chubby kid. But now he's a music mogul and he's helping people. And here he is on his YouTube show, inspiring me, inspiring. I mean, all the people, look at the comments on the right there. All those young men and women who watch this show every day, hundreds and hundreds of people. If you see, maybe they're on the left, 2,390 views. That's just happened this morning. I mean, here he is, this chubby kid, as he says, inspiring people twice his age like me and thousands of other young people to make that choice. To not even, like he says, look at who you've been. To not look at what you haven't accomplished or who the world or yourself tells you that you're supposed to be. But instead to make that choice, like he's about to say. After he became a music mogul, he then became an athlete. And he was on the cover of, I think it was Runner's Magazine. And then, I think the last few years, he's become I don't know if it's a professional or semi-professional basketball player, even though he's a short white guy. And yet, his point is, you have to clean the slate. And there's so many things in my mind that sometimes cloud me, mostly the past, hurts and pains and people and places that have hurt me. That's what Satan wants us to do, is to dwell on all the bad things. But what he really wants, and God wants us to do, is to clean the slate, is to say, Lord, I'm not going to be that person that I've been, no matter how young and old you are. I'm not 23 anymore. It doesn't matter. You can be a different individual by the grace of God starting today and write the kind of year, the kind of story that you want to be told for the rest of this year. There's so many things that I still want to do this year. And it's not even about, like he said, about us being happy. It's about you helping other people in whatever way that you can, depending and according to your dreams, to the things that have been inside of you. He's going to talk about that next. Have been inside of you since you were a little boy. He'll talk about here that he's always dreamed of playing basketball since he was like 6 or 7. And so that story that we're writing, or that you still have a chance to write here in 2020, are things that God has put in your heart since you were a young person. So let's keep listening.
Ended up Nike athlete. I ended up on the cover of Runner's World magazine. Ended up, biking across America. I made a choice. Then I was like, nope, I'm making the choice. I want to be a basketball player.
Yeah, so I want to talk about that. So you said cleaning the slate, and just being a follower and being a fan of you for a while now. I've seen this happen a couple times, like where it's like, damn, where did this come from? Now I know basketball has always been, like you talked about, that being your dream as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
But what sparked that like going all in on it, and then also like before that, like talking about like maybe end of last year to when that happened. Like, what was your goal? Were you kind of like in limbo trying to figure out the next move?
Mm-hmm. So,
Okay, so pause there. Great question by Dylan. He says, how did you clean the slate? Because truth be told, for all of us, we get stuck in the old slate, in the old results, in the old us. And yet the Bible says that his mercies are new every morning. That in Christ you are a new creation. Even today, July 10th, Friday, July 10th, even in the middle of this crazy year, global pandemic, you are a new creation, and you can write a different story than you've been writing so far. And he's going to talk about some of the things, some of the ways in which he transitioned. Like he's going to talk about that limbo. You know how like this year feels like we're in limbo? He's going to say here in a second, well, I won't spill the beans. I'll let him talk about it.
like, there's information that comes to us. Whether we choose to listen to it or not, that's a choice. So there was this one morning in January when I woke up. I dropped my girl off at the airport, and it was a foggy Sunday morning. I'll never forget it. And this dream, see, our dreams are always inside of us. They don't die. We die. Our dreams, those original dreams, they're always there.
Wow, isn't that powerful? Isn't that so true? He says, we die, but our dreams never die. Our original dreams, they're still there. I've always dreamed of playing music in front of thousands. 5 years ago, I had a vision of playing in the parking lot of this other church where I was helping. And I've always had a dream of having a great, beautiful facility. I've always dreamed of singing in front of thousands. I remember when I was in Denver, Colorado, maybe 10 years ago, I went to the show, the National. I remember the band, beautiful band. And I looked up there and I thought, that is what I'm supposed to be doing with my life. Is playing music, impacting people through what God has given me. And through many reasons and many circumstances, sometimes you just get distracted. And like, okay, well, I don't know if that's going to happen, or well, I guess not, and blah, blah, blah. But that dream, I've had that my whole life, not just the last few years. About 4 years ago, God gave me another vision that this year, 2020, would be the beginning of the best years of my life. This year. And I've often thought, wow, was I wrong? But heck no, this young man here is reminding me that God is faithful and that he keeps his promises. This year, the more I reflect on it, even with all this stuff, nothing good has happened to me per se, meaning like I haven't won the lottery or lost 20 pounds or... And yet, the more I think about it, this is the best year of my life. Because those dreams are still there. And I can easily say that those dreams are coming true. And God told me a few years ago, I was at this camp praying, and he said 2020 will be the first of 3 years of blessing in my life. 2020, 21, and 22. And then, of course, from then on, blessings will continue. But he told me that last year, 2019, would be the end of the famine in my life. And in many ways, you could say, well, this has been another year of famine for all of us. But no, this is the beginning of 3 years of plenty. That's the vision that God gave me years ago, before all this stuff happened. Those dreams, like he says, like this young man said, are still there. You just have to find them once again. So let's keep listening.
So it will try to speak to us when the time is right. When it's divine, see.
Isn't that great what he just said there? When it's divine and when the time is right. That really is a gem right there. If it's divine, I know the dreams that God's given me are from him. No doubt about it. I mean, literally, I've had visions. God-given in prayer. Both of them. I was in prayer, deep prayer. And then he said, what we would say as followers of Jesus, in his time. See, and that's why we can't write this year off. I've done that, I must say. I've said, okay, well, forget this year. No. You can't write this year off and say, well, forget it. Let's just wait till next year. No, you have to rewrite your own story. Going back to those divine dreams that God's given you. Divine. How do you know they're divine? They've been in you since you were born. And then to trust in God's timing. Maybe you've been accomplishing his dreams. So maybe there's something new that he wants you to do. Perhaps he wants you to stop doing what you've been doing, even though it's been so great. Maybe he wants you to keep at it and to do something new. Maybe he wants you to actually pick up that dream that you thought would never be fulfilled. Let's keep listening. It is great.
When your heart speaks to you, it's copied and pasted. It's not a sentence. Most of the times we're in our heads. Okay, this is an abstract thought. Most of the time we're in our heads, and our mind works in form of sentences. For example, I'll say water bottle, and then you'll start thinking about water bottle, and then you would say, I am thirsty. You know, that is kind of one thing leads to another. That's how the brain works.
Okay.
But there are times when just something hits you, and it's not in form of a sentence, and it comes out of nowhere. That's when you know it's your heart talking. If it's just bow. So I dropped my girl off at the airport.
Wow, isn't that true? I mean, haven't we all had those moments when it's just pow, like he says, right? I'm telling you, when I was upstairs, I remember exactly where I was. I was in prayer in my office at this other place upstairs. And suddenly, I'm looking through this window, and I see this vision from him. I see him like, oh my goodness. The other time, I was driving up to the mountains, and I thought, okay, when I get there, then I'll really listen to God, or from God. On my way up in the middle of traffic on a 91, bow, it just hit me. God's like, boom, 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 boom. I'm like, oh my goodness. That's how you know. And like he says, it's not your reason. See, our minds, you have to understand, our minds get in the way of God's dreams for your life. This brain, it just doesn't know how to trust. You have to listen to your heart. You have to ignore all the negative stuff, all the obstacles, all the reasons why you can't believe, you can't trust. That's why it's called walking by faith, not by sight. Where is the sight? It's in your head. It's literally in your face, right? That's where our eyes are. That's why this year I named it by faith without knowing all this stuff. Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. That's called walking by faith. That's called walking into your dream. Like what he's saying here, creating, believing, listening to that heart, to God, to the Spirit of God. Not thinking A, B, C, like he's saying, the bottle of water. Okay, bottle of water, drink, right? A equals B. You have to, and a lot of people, unfortunately, they only think rationally. They only think with their eyes, with their literal eyes, with their literal senses. They don't know how to listen to God. But there are many, all of us are supposed to, and we can all listen to God, to our heart. We just have to quiet our mind and to actually walk by faith. Let's keep listening.
That happened. I just said, boom, Charlie, start your basketball journey. And I've learned in my life, when those things happen, when it just is copied and pasted, I know to show up because I know there's going to be all sorts of magic that surrounds it because it's not my brain thinking I need to start my basketball journey. It's God, consciousness, universe saying, Charlie, I got something for you. I just need you to show up and do it. So I call my boy George.
Isn't that crazy? He says, Charlie, or David in my case, I got something for you. I just need you to show up and do this. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that exactly how God works, right? See, the reptile brain, as some people call it, it says, well, no, I need this, I need this, I need that. And because I don't have these things, then I can't do it. I can't move into that big house because I don't have the money, I don't have the resources, I don't have the job. Therefore, well, I can't date that person because, well, I'm not this way and they're not that way, and it's not going to happen. But the heart, the Spirit of God in us, it says, basically, this is meant to be. This is what God has already prepared. This is what the Bible says, that He's already prepared good works for us to just walk into. We just have to show up. Do you think that if I was to go and play my guitar outside here in the corner somewhere, that God would say, just ignore this kid. He doesn't know what he... No, of course, God would open doors because that's what I'm supposed to do. If I was to go and talk to people about Jesus at Ralph's here in the corner, at the apartments across the street, at the homes around here, you think God would say, no, don't listen to this guy. No, He would open doors for me because that's what's meant to be. That's what's in my heart. That's what has already been prepared for me. Those are the good works that are already prepared for me. All I have to do is show up. The same thing is true for you. There are so many opportunities that God has already prepared in advance, even before the creation of the world, says Ephesians, for you to just walk into. But this right here, it's always getting in the way. And so let's keep listening.
George, man, remember how a couple years ago I was telling you how I wanted to do a whole basketball journey? You said, yeah. I said, today I just got a voice from God, from source, from the universe. I need to do it. So I'm going to do it. Let's go buy some shoes. I said, where you at? Boom. I went, picked them up. We're going to go buy shoes. As we're buying the shoes, I get a text message. Man, you heard about what just happened to Kobe?
Damn, that day.
That day, as I'm buying my basketball shoes.
Damn.
And so then that's when I got it. I was like, oh, God wanted me to start this basketball dream and dedicate it to Kobe.
Damn.
Because life is short and our lives can end at any moment. And if we're not chasing our dream, when we die, that'll be the regret.
That's so deep, bro.
And isn't that amazing? He said that if we die, when we die, that'll be the regret. That we didn't chase our dreams. Like he says about Kobe, man, that was, for most of us, right? That was like the worst day of our lives. Remember that? I remember, as I said, the exact moment when Kobe died. And that'll be the biggest regret for us, right? Life is short. I mean, this year, this whole thing, if anything, it's reminding us of how we are all Kobe. All of us could die, God forbid, right? Because of this or that or the other. What's the biggest regret of your life? What would be? It's that you didn't chase after your dream, after that God-given dream that He's already prepared for you. Right? That you didn't step into those good works that He's already prepared for you. I have no idea what those are, but I'm sure you do. I know what they are for me. To sing and to speak of Jesus in public, outdoors, that is... My wife has had visions. I've had visions of being outdoor, outside of the walls of the church, singing and speaking to people about Jesus. That's what I'm supposed to do. That's the story I'm supposed to be writing. And guess what? Right now, it's the best time. But like he says, it's a choice to listen to what's inside of you, to step into that dream, because life is short. Let's keep listening.
But
That's
guess
so
what?
fire.
But guess what? When I found out where Kobe's helicopter crashed, it crashed in my neighborhood.
Damn, I'm done.
But not just anywhere. The basketball court I play at, it crashed 100 yards away.
Like you can see it from the court.
You can see the mountain right there.
Wow.
Like you're playing basketball. So it was so close to home that's when I started my basketball journey. I said, I want to be a superstar basketball player. And so I'm going to win MVP of the NBA Celebrity All-Star Game 2021 in Indianapolis. I'm going to document it so I could teach people how to chase a dream. Because
isn't that awesome what he's saying, man? How specific his dream is. He wants to be MVP of a celebrity basketball game next year in Indianapolis. And he's going to document that journey so that other people can see how he did it. Wow. How specific. What's my dream? I want to be the greatest and the biggest music speaker in the world to reach people for Jesus by doing outdoor concerts. Through my songs that God's given me, the songs that I've written about Him, about love, about my journey, about my life. And for me, it's not 2021, it's this year. I want to start that journey. And that dream that I had in Denver, when I saw that band, The National, it's time for me to return to that dream that He has prepared for me. And He's given me these two passions: to speak His word, loving people through the word of God, and to sing. And to do it outside of the walls of the church, in the parking lot, at Staples Center, at Pepsi, at the Pepsi Center, in your home, wherever God may take me. It's not about fame or numbers or glory. It's about stepping into that dream, writing that story that God has prepared for me to write. And what is a story, a dream that He's prepared for me? Okay, let's finish up. I think he's almost done.
I make the choice that morning, I'm going to be a basketball player. And by basketball player, you don't have to go the traditional route. Your dream is your dream. It doesn't care what path you take. I don't play for the Lakers, but I want to be a basketball player. And so I wake up every day and I tell myself, it's going to be easy. Those are like my magic words.
Well, we can't just gloss over that story. Like, first of all, rest in peace, Kobe.
Okay, so the last thing I'll say is, isn't that awesome? He's using biblical language. I don't know if he knows it. He says, it's going to be easy. It's going to be. Your logical mind says, run a marathon in 2021? That's not going to be easy. It's going to be super hard. Our little brain, reptile brains, monkey brains as they call them, what do they tell you? You can't be the celebrity star for the NBA next year. You're short. You're a musician. But what does the dream say inside of you? It says it's easy. What does the Bible say? My yoke is easy and my burden is light. Isn't that's what he just said? When you're walking with God and you're writing that beautiful story that He has prepared for you in advance since the beginning of the world, it is easy. Every time that I sing, every time that I get in front of a microphone, sing songs to God, it's easy for me. Every time that I talk about God, open the Bible and I study it, it's easy for me to come up with a message or things that I'm supposed to say to people. It's the most easy, isn't it? That's why sometimes we take things for granted, right? Because we think that's so easy. It's supposed to be easy. This here makes it so difficult. Now, sometimes if you are doing something and it is super difficult, in your spirit you're like, man, this is not me. Then you need to listen and leave that. Because that's God. That's your life. That's your story talking to you and saying you're going against the dream. You're going against God. You're going against what's in you. Now, some things may be very difficult for years, and they are preparing you. They are a part of the journey, but other things are not where you're supposed to be. How do you know? You just know inside of you. There's a difference between disobedience and perseverance. And only you can really know what is what. But I love how he's saying that it's easy. It's meant to be easy. So we'll stop there. I hope that, I know the audio and all the technical stuff here in my video is all delayed and the audio here is pretty bad, but I wanted to at least just point you in the right direction. I encourage you to go just and type in Charlie Rocket Talks Art of the DM. The YouTube channel is called Producer Grind. As I said, it's a music channel, but just this young man really drops some gems, as they like to say. I want to encourage you, if you have been struggling to know what you're supposed to do this year, to listen to him. Now, what do we do now? Well, it's up to all of us. I know for me, I'm supposed to be playing music outside. I'm supposed to be speaking of the love of Jesus outdoors. And so I'm just inviting people right now, if you want to support this vision, I want to just invite you to join me, to help me see this through so that we can see people that need hope these days receive bread. You know, my gifts are not to give people bread and water per se, like physically, or to go on a bus like he did, pass out clothes or vaccines. My call, my gifting, what God has prepared for me in advance is to use my music and the Word of God to bring people hope. And to do it outside with love, with beauty, with music, with excellence, with beautiful production and music that is well done with heart, and to love people through my words, the Bible, the Word of God, and through music. And so if you want to help me, please just let me know. Leave me a comment. Just type a 1 and say, yes, I want to help you whatever way I can. Maybe just moving chairs or selling food, or maybe you have a food truck, or maybe you have a stage, a connection with someone who can just let us borrow a stage or sound equipment. You know, we need all a bunch of stuff to make this work. And we have to wait until we're allowed to do outdoor concerts again, blah, blah, blah. But in due time, in God's timing, I will be ready. And join me and encourage you. And most of all, if that's not your vision, if you have your own vision, then how can I support you? Come on this channel, share your vision with this audience that we have here. And let's share each other's visions, and let's encourage each other. Thanks again for listening. I know, as I said, the tech is a little off. I don't have my pro gear here this morning or this afternoon, but I hope that at least you can go and check out that video and be encouraged. Thanks so much for being here.